Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. If you guys haven't noticed, New Japan Pro Wrestling has begun the annual tournament known as the New Japan Cup. Now, this is not, of course, a round robin tournament. This is more of an elimination tournament. So I'll explain a little bit about that, of course. Then we move on with the second season, of course, of WWE Evolve with Secession 2. Now, we do have both the Women's Evolve Championship on the line in a street fight. But the real question is, can Kendall Grace survive against a woman who, as you know, loves to fight and beat up people? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But also, Jackson Drake is defending his championship against Cappuccino Jones. So we'll see how things will progress. Now, AEW Dynamite, as you all know, we are on the road to Revolution. A lot of things are taking place. We do have, of course, the AEW World title on the line. MJF defends it against Kevin Knight, who is 1/3 of the Trios champions. And we'll see how things will roll up. And then we move on, of course, with Hangman in action. Even the AEW Women's World title is also on the line, and plenty other things as well. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Lead It Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something had happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So let's begin, of course, with day one of New Japan Cup. New Japan Pro Wrestling, we are now entering with day one of the annual tournament known as the New Japan Cup. Now, before I proceed, I want to make things very clear and to clarify things. Now, as you know, there's two different types of tournaments in New Japan. And the one we normally know is the G1, which is a round robin tournament where you, of course, is a point-based system tournament. However, the New Japan Cup, of course, is more of a single elimination tournament. So basically, if you lose, that's it. You're done. You can't proceed. Now, of course, many of you would ask, what does the winner get? For those who are new to the channel, the winner, of course, will get a shot of the IWGP Heavyweight title, which, of course, is in the possession of Yota Tsuji. So that is the grand prize. So we'll see how things will progress. So we just are beginning with day one, and we will continue with day two as well. But let's start right now with this one, which is day one. We opened up with the House of Losers, of course. Yujiro Takahashi and Chase Owens taking on Masatora Yasuda and Shota Umino. Now, obviously, when it comes to the House of Losers, we know how they operate. They like to do, of course, dirty tactics to ensure they win their matches by any means necessary. But, however, we did see a dirty tactic coming from Chase when he attempted to use Yujiro's cane and then he low blowed him. That gave him enough time to separate Umino away from Yujiro from applying the pimp juice on Yasuda, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Yado teaming up with El Fantasmo taking on Toru Yano and Boltin Oleg. Now, this match is a bit of a preview between Oleg and ELP for the New Japan Cup. So the obvious question we can ask ourselves, who will pick up the momentum? Well, apparently no one saw this because the monitor went out. We did see Toru Yano, of course, pick up the win when he pinned Yado for this. So that's how things end right there. Now, as you know, we've been watching recently the war between both the United Empires, or should I say the United Crybabies, taking on the Unbound Company, consistent, of course. So here's who representing the United Empire. Zane J, who is telling everybody that he is no longer a young lion. Well, you still are. Then we have Cal Newman, Hinare, and Jake Lee. They take on from the Unbound Company, Daiki Nagai, Oscar, Jilla Maloney, and Shingo Tagaki. Now, of course, Cal Newman has a match against Oscar in the tournament. And of course, Cal Newman is trying to poke the bear to ensure that in some capacity he gets the momentum to get there. But a lot of things took place. But in the end, it was, of course, Drilla Maloney who, in fact, took out Zane J with the Drilla Killer. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, Newman decided to poke the bear, which of course was Oscar, and he put him in the sleeper nightmare, which is a chokehold. And just like that, he's sending him a clear message. So he's not going to tolerate his crap one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have Tomoaki Hamna, Taichi, and Master Wato taking on the other members of the House of Losers, more specifically Dick Togo, the leader Ren Narita, and Doki. Now, obviously, for those who don't know, Ren Narita is going to be facing Taichi as well in the tournament, so you can say this is a preview. But however, Doiki, as you know, will be defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title against Master Wato, so you can say it's a preview to that too. But of course, we will see dirty tactics coming from what's their name? From House of Torture, because that's always been their case. But however, it was Taichi that picked up the win when he put Dick Togo in a submission, and just like that, he tapped out. Now, our next match, we have the other members of the Unbound, more specifically Geto, Robbie X, Taiji Shimori, Yuto Ice, and Yoda Tsuji. They take on TMDK's Hartley Jackson, Rohei Oiwa, Kosa Fujita, Robbie Eagles, and Zack Sabre Jr. So, of course, Rohei Oiwa will be in action to take on Yuto Ice in the tournament. So, you can say this is a bit of a preview for that. But all hell broke loose between these two guys, and that's pretty much how things were going to go. But in the end, it was the Death Valley Bomb onto Geto by Hartley Jackson, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we begin the first round matches of the New Japan Cup. We only have 2 of these. The first one, we have Ren Narita versus Aaron Wolf. Now, obviously, we all know the history between what happened. Ren Narita uses dirty tactics to strip Aaron Wolf of the title and use, of course, the House of Losers to get involved. And that's exactly what happened. They even attacked them before the start of the belt, which is typical tactics from these jackasses to do so. But, of course, when it comes to the referee being taken out, of course, the other losers decided to come in. But luckily, of course, we did see Aaron Wolf try to hold on, but unfortunately, Fale was able to defeat Aaron Wolf. No, sorry, my bad, it's not Ren Narita, it's Don Fale. He defeated him with the grenade, and just like that, it was over. So this was a total crap right there. So basically, Don Fale moves up. Now, our next match is the Great-O-Khan versus Yuya Uemura. Of course, Great-O-Khan as the United Empire are trying to reach the top, but Yuya Uemura put up a hell of a fight against Great-O-Khan. Did everything humanly possible to withstand him, and that's exactly what he did. Until, of course, he applied the high cross flow, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Yuya Uemura advances. So, adios, Great-O-Khan, and, go cry in your diaper, for all we care. So, that's how things ended in that day 1 of the New Japan Cup. We'll see how day 2 will go. But for right now, let's move on to our next review, and that is, of course, WWE Evolve Secession 2. Okay, WWE Evolve. Now, as you know, we've begun this next season of this program, of course, with Secession 2. Now, it opened up with the Vanity Project, more specifically Jackson Drake talking about his accomplishments and all that, and not to mention them being involved with NXT, which is something we've been seeing. So, of course, Jackson Drake is getting prepared for his upcoming match against Cappuccino Jones in the main event. Now, our first match, we opened up with Harlem Lewis taking on Brooks Jensen. Now, this whole thing began when Harlem Lewis made his return and decided to aim for the Evolve Championship. But however, Brooks Jensen was the kind of guy's like, oh, hell no, bitch. You're not cutting the line this time. So, that's how we ended up. Now, of course, Harlem Lewis doesn't give a damn about this whole PC versus the ID guys. He said he can care less and destroy each other because the one thing that mattered to him is the Evolve Championship. And that's exactly what he intended to do. But however, Lewis was able to pick up the win by taking out Brooks Jensen. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, he did told Chuy Martinez during the post-match that he needs to rack up wins because that doesn't make him a champion. But we'll see how things will go from there. We'll be keeping an eye on him. Now, our next match is for the Evolve Women's Championship in the street fight. PJ Fossa challenges for this championship against Kendall Gray. Now, Kendall Gray, I don't think this is a match that she's ever been in. We know she is tough as nails. We know she has great submission techniques. But the real question, can she survive a full-blown mayhem where anything goes? I mean, you got all sorts of weapons and stuff that could break you in half. But man, Kendall Gray refuses to stay down. But the thing that was awesome is that she applied, of course, the Shades of Grey on the steel steps, the same steel steps where they get in the ring, onto PJ Fossa. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the belt. Now, they did show something that happened outside the Performance Center parking lot. Cam Hendricks and Harley Riggins attacked Tate Wilde right outside the parking lot of the Performance Center. This is payback for what happened last time. As you all know, Tate Wilde was the referee and that sort of thing. But I'm sure Tate Wilde will get his little measure of payback against those two guys soon enough. Now on to our main event. We have the Evolve Championship. Cappuccino Jones versus the champion, Jackson Drake. Man, this match was awesome. There was no interference coming from the Vanity Project, but man, he took it to the Cappuccino Jones took it to the next level. But however, of course, this ended with Jackson Drake applying the unaligning, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. However, out of nowhere, Harlem Lewis, as you know, is now making a stake and claim he will be the next challenger, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop him. I'm sure Jackson Drake will do whatever it takes to avoid him, but it's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens next week. But as of right now, we are done. Let's move on with AEW Dynamite. Alright, final review, AEW Dynamite. We opened up with the AEW World Championship on the line. Kevin Knight, of course, put himself in the position to challenge MJF. And of course, we all know how this was going to turn out one way or the other. Nope. We all know how talented and very good Kevin Knight can be. I mean, an excellent high flyer. But when it comes to MJF, he is determined not to lose this belt any way possibility. He actually pushed the referee Bryce Rinberg into the ropes, giving himself enough time to put him in a stall where, of course, where you thought Kevin Knight could have picked up the win if that didn't happen. But it did. And then, of course, MJF applied the Heat Seeker, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. However, of course, as you know, when it comes to MJF, he attempting to use the Dynamite, the ring that he uses onto Kevin Knight, but luckily Hangman showed up, and then Speedball as well to save their own teammates. So that's how things end right there. Now, we did see, of course, Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin teaming up to take on the Dogs, consistent of Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. Now, of course, as you know, Darby Allin had dealt with Gabe Kidd on multiple occasions, but now this war between them is gone off, and they did whatever it took possible to put a hurt onto Darby Allin. But in the end, it was Orange Cassidy with the orange punch onto Clark Connors, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. However, of course, when Darby Allin and OC were in fact celebrating, well, they were attacked from behind by David Finlay, of course. When it comes to this, it turned out, of course, that he is now in AEW. We didn't expect it. He whacked both of them with the shillelagh, so we'll see where that goes from there. Now, Bandito was in fact talking to Andrade in an interview, explaining that he grew up watching Andrade. So basically, he was a fan. So that's the reason he wanted this match. So we'll see what happens in Revolution between the two of them. Now, our next match is the debut of, well, this one is more of the Brawling Birds taking on the Inspiration. The Inspiration, as you know, making their AEW Dynamite debut. You probably can guess that this match was, I don't know, I feel like it was way too soon for these two teams, Tim. But this is all about, of course, in my opinion, about the AEW Women's Tag Team belts. And these two teams do qualify, in my opinion, to compete for that. I mean, the Brawling Birds, well, they're making a statement exactly, and that's exactly what they did when they applied the 2 birds, 1 stone onto Cassie Lee, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Hangman had a squash match against Marty Stone. Well, he took him out with, of course, with the buckshot lariat, until, of course, we did see a promo calling out MJF and all that. But however, while that was happening, no one expected the Don Callis family attack from behind. We did see Fletcher, Okada, and the Mark Davis to show up. But of course, we did see what's his name? Jet Set show up to help out. But unfortunately, it seems that Don Callis decided to move ahead to have the AEW World Trios titles as the main event. And that's, of course, no surprise, because, of course, Don Callis wants to prove that they are the most dominant faction. But sooner or later, they're going to fall. I don't know when, but where. Now, we did see a bit of a face-to-face between both, of course, the Bucks and FTR, talking about their upcoming match. But there was no physical contact between them. And then, of course, FTR clobbered, what's his name? Brandon Cutler, who is a dear friend of the Bucks for many years, including their time back in their hometown. So you probably can tell that's how it set it up. Now, our next match is an eliminator match for the AEW Continental Championship. Jon Moxley faces against Hechiseto. Now, of course, Jon Moxley said he can do this like 3 days of the 65 days a year, but the commentators made one excellent point. What if this is only a way for Don Callis to figure out a way to dismantle Jon Moxley for Takeshita, to ensure they can reclaim this belt? And that's something that is a possibility. But of course, Jon Moxley walked out with the win with the Death Rider, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. However, Takeshita showed up during the post-match, sending a clear message to Jon Moxley. Now, Brody King did a promo, as you know, talking about Swerve, because as you know, Swerve took offense to Brody King, who Brody King declares himself as the most dangerous man. Prince Nana showed up, and then, of course, it was a sneak attack from Swerve, telling him that he thinks that you call yourself the most dangerous man. But I think in some ways, it's the action that explains it. Bandito even showed up to help out, but who knows what things would have gone, but we'll see. Now, the Death Riders had some things to say individually. Garcia had some problems towards the Don Callis family. Wheeler Yuta, well, he made some remarks for some people. Uh, Reina Shafir still has her issues with Tony. And then, of course, Mox with Takeshita, so you can guess how that turns out. Now, our next match is for the AEW Women's World Championship. Thunder Rosa, who, in fact, as you all know, never lost the belt, faced against Tekla. Now, Chris Statlander warned her that this is not your ordinary person that you want to face. But Thunder Rosa doesn't care. She thinks, like, whatever. Like, she thinks she's like every other person. But we know Tekla how she is. She is a very dangerous individual. Not to mention, she's the kind of person who looks at Thunder Rosa like who gives a flying F about your status and how inspirational you are. That sort of thing. But of course, Tekla took her out with the double stomp. And just like that, well, she did that twice. And then 1, 2, 3, she retained the title. But of course, we did see Sky Blue and Julia Hart show up until Chris Statlander tried to make the save. But unfortunately, because of the damn security, they tried to stop Chris Statlander from getting involved. But this allowed for Tekla to watch Chris Statlander stomp Thunder Rosa multiple times. If I was Chris Statlander, I would have beat the bejesus out of security, no matter what. Now, we did see an interview with, of course, Tommaso Ciampa. He was talking. And then, of course, FTR, as you know. They seem like they want to recruit their own thing. But Tommaso Ciampa just gave him a slobber knocker right in the face. And then, of course, they're going to meet up with them in Collision. Now, Toni Storm brought the cameraman because she was concerned over what happened to Orange Cassidy with the attack of the dogs. So you probably can guess. So I thought it was a real interesting. Now, our next match is for the AEW World Trios titles. Now, of course, Don Callis, as you know, is determined to find ways to ensure to get every belt as possible to prove the dominance. Now, of course, things would have gone well. We did see the reunite of Aussie Open, but they're teaming up with Okada to take on Jet Set Rodeo. But things would have gone well if it wasn't for, of course, MJF, who tacked Hangman, and this allowed for Mark Davis to apply a power driver onto Kevin Knight. And just like that, 1, 2, 3. Don Callis family are the new AEW World Trios champions. But we'll see how things will go for them, because I don't know how long these guys will last holding them. But we did see a bit of an exclusive where Okada is saying that everybody has a belt but except Takeshita. But Don Callis said he'll get the AEW Continental Champion. But Okada doesn't want that, because I mentioned Okada is telling everybody that Takeshita is beneath him. He is nowhere near the same level as him. But we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we are done with every review. Let's move on to some news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with some upcoming events, starting with GCW. Now, majority of it is based on that. Now, as you know, this coming Friday, they say it couldn't be done in Louisville, Kentucky on the 6th of March. They announced 2 matches. Too Tough Tony will take on Beastman. And then we have Christian Napier, a member of the Vendel 48. He'll take on Gavin Ash. Then we have the Columbus, Ohio event in March 7th, So Alive. 2 more matches have been announced. Beastman versus Gary J, and Vipers versus Christian Napier. Then the following day, they will be in Chicago for Ransom, and they announced the GCW Ultraviolet Championship. Otis Cogar will defend it against Bear Bronson. Then, of course, we have the Las Vegas shows that will be coming up in April. First, we had the Bloodsport on the 17th of May. They announced Pete Dunne will be making his appearance. Then we have the MDK Fight Club on the 17th. We have a no-ropes barbed wire match between Kroll and Slade. And then finally, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, Nyla Rose and Dark Sheik, which is going to be the first time ever these ladies will face off. Now, as you all know, March 22nd is the Sareee-ISM show that will happen in Yokohama Budokan. and it's the the 15th anniversary. Is it 15th anniversary of Saree's career? And the full card has been mentioned now. Here's what's gonna happen: Spark Rush, Saree and Takumi Iroha will take on Shuri and Chihiro Hashimoto. Then we have Karu Itu versus Natsupoi, Master versus Student. Chi-Chi and Miko Kane will take on Amu Fujiwara and Rina. Benny will take on Hanako. Senka Akatsuki, Taka Inoue, and Jaguar Yokota will take on Fuwachan, Yumika Hota, and Shinobu Kandori. Then we have a mystery opponent for Kuroshio Tokyo, Japan, formerly known as Ikemen Jiro. And then we have Celine Misora versus Kyoko Furuzawa. So this will happen on March 22nd at the Yokohama Budokan. Now, finally, as you know, we have the Fantastica Mania USA that will happen on the 12th of April. They announced Doiki will be involved in this one, so that's pretty much it, what's taking place. Now, on to some developments. This is a very shocking one for many of us. It's still no clear what happened or what's been going on. It was announced that in Fightful Select that Mance Warner and Steph de Landers, as you all know, they're a married couple, just called it quits with TNA. Now, it's still unclear why. Now, once I get more information based on that, we'll get it. But this was surprising, so we'll see how that rolls up from there. Now, was Marie Malenko. Now, apparently, Fightful Select reports that Marie Malenko was discussions to sign with the promotion, but however, her father, Dean Malenko, declines to mention which promotion. Now, I think some of you may think it's WWE. Others would think will be AEW. I don't know. It doesn't matter, guys. Wherever she goes, she'll be getting full support from her fans. Now, David Finlay, as you all know, we saw him in AEW. We questioned what is going on. Now, many of us might have assumed he would be making his way to WWE. That was the case, what we'd heard. However, it turns out that the WWE deal that they had for him was for him to go to NXT, which, of course, they wouldn't budge because we probably would have presumed he would have got the main roster, but it seems that didn't happen. But, of course, his AEW deal came together last week, so that explains it. Now, in a recent interview, Natsupoi had some things to say about certain topics in mind. Let me pull that up so I can read it for you guys. Natsupoi talks about the Cinderella tournament. This one's good. For the past 2 years or so, I had the impression that it was a tournament for rookies. But since I've been confirmed to participate this time, I'm going to shed my maturity and go all out and aim for the dress. I'll prove that no matter how many years of career you have, you can become anything at any age. Good for her. I like her. I mean, she's in her 30s. She's still young. And she also had some things to say about Maki Ito, and this is what she said. Recently, some people who have been picking on Cosmic Angels, calling us evil heel unit or whatever, have been saying things like, let's meet up in the finals. So I'm going to shut that loud mouth up. Yeah, so basically, for those who don't know, Maki Ito called them evil heels. And then finally, she even talked about, of course, her marriage with Shingo, about not yet held a wedding ceremony. And she had said this, if I win the Cinderella tournament, I will turn the victory ceremony into a grand public wedding reception. I originally thought about keeping it just relatives, but this is special. Takagi-san has a match in his hometown in Yamanashi, so I have to rush over after winning before the ceremony starts, and I'll have a yellow dress prepared, and I'll have Takagi escort me. Yep. I like to see that. And then finally, of course, Robert Stone had something to say about Samoa Joe, saying that he helped him get his opportunity with WWE after he left with TNA. And this is what he said, and this was on Busted Open Radio. TNA was over, and I was done. It was just the end, and I wasn't doing it as much as I felt I should have. My contract was coming to an end. I'm 34 years old at the time, and I was like, I got to give WWE a shot, but there's no doubt about it. There's no lies. But back in my mind, it was saying where I always wanted to be. I let my contract run out, and I think I announced it on Twitter saying I'm no longer in TNA. Immediately, I mean, within a few minutes, I get a text from Samoa Joe, our good friend from TNA Wrestling, who saw the news and said, "Do I have an interest in coming to WWE NXT?" And I told him, "Absolutely." I guess he just put some feelers out, maybe to William Regal, who at the time was helping get talent tryouts. Sometime went on, give or uh, take 3 or 4 months later, they invited me to a tryout. That's good for Joe. I mean, I'm glad that he looked out for his friend. I mean, that's the kind of thing you have when you have friends in different promotions that you want to help out when you hear that they're no longer whatever promotion. We've seen that kind of thing before, but it is how it is. So that's pretty much it we have for all of you. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we will continue with more of New Japan Cup. As you know, we are entering day 2. Now, we're still not done. Now, 2 matches at a time they will throw in for the New Japan Cup, and it's going to be wow. But there are some preview matches, just to let you know. We do have, of course, Ring of Honor and TNA, so we'll see how things will roll up from there. And, of course, I have begun the process for more of Mighty Gold with the New Year Golden Garden and plenty more, and I will continue on with other special episodes as well. So I think that's pretty much it. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.